All right, welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table, we're going to go through the KeyForge version 1.4 rules. We're going to discuss them here live on YouTube. If you're here with us live, you can discuss this in the chat as we go over each rule. I have not gone through the rules yet. I'm making this video, for me to go through the rules and educate anyone that doesn't know. There's a PDF that exists out there that is not included in any of the starter boxes for KeyForge. That includes more rules than just what comes in the starter set, little pamphlet. And it's a living document that gets updated. So hopefully we can bring awareness out to the KeyForge community, because I do go to tournaments and find that some players are just going based on rules they've been taught by whoever, or rules that they've learned from whoever taught them how to play the game, and they go by assumptions. They don't realize the rules change over time. There's Errata, there's could be a restricted list eventually, there's rules clarifications, FAQ, all that stuff keeps living and growing, and that's normal. You know that if you play an LCG or other competitive card game, you should know that kind of stuff exists. But for KeyForge, a lot of players don't really know that. Not a lot. I've ran across a few players that don't know this document exists or gets updated. So that's one of the reasons I make these videos, just to go over the rules when they do update them, to kind of make a big fuss. So if you know anyone that plays and may not know there's a rules document, send them this. We'll go through all the changes and kind of highlight them here in video form, so maybe they don't have to go read it if they don't feel like reading. They can watch and we can discuss. So, like I said, leave anything in the chat as we go through it. Any questions, any discussion topics, I'll try to mention them here in the video. If you're watching this later on YouTube, it should be there in the chat below or on your right side there. You can see what we discuss. But yeah, let's get into this here. So I have the PDF open. It's my first time going through it. I went through the article on Fantasy Flight Games website highlighting some of the things, but it doesn't really go into detail. It just says there's some new stuff that kind of doubled the FAQ section and whatnot. And usually you can check here, you make sure you have the latest one, the date and whatnot is right here, and you can see it. And highlighted changes will be highlighted in red that are different from the previous one. So it says here, updated changes highlighted in red, clarifications added to using cards, new entries and updates to the glossary, new errata added, and new frequently asked questions. Now the thing with errata, I don't know if it's a KeyForge thing, but I don't think when they reprint the cards, they correct the errata. I think the card's kind of stuck. From my understanding, I mean, I don't know if they've corrected any. If you guys know in the chat, let me know. But I think they just keep printing them the same way, and we just gonna have to know the card exists. I've never seen like an updated text on any KeyForge card, but I have seen that in the past for like Game of Thrones LCG, for example. That one, they would, if they did a new print run of a chapter pack with a card that got changed, it would eventually, people could have a different version of the card that would have the new text on it. All right, so let's just start scrolling down here. I'm sure you guys know how to play. We don't need to go over all the basic stuff, but we are looking for anything related to using cards, highlighted in red, any of that kind of stuff. I'm sure it'll be pretty obvious. We'll go, oh, there's something in red right here. Player needs to draw cards during this step or any other time and cannot, because their deck is empty. The player shuffles their discard pile to reset their deck and continues to draw. Cards are drawn one at a time. Okay, just a little clarification there. So don't try to draw 10 cards at once, I guess. If you get to draw 10 cards, I would assume you always draw them one at a time, maybe. But yeah, not sure why that's in there. But so Omni has an update here, as you can see on the right of the screen. It says, any ready creature may trigger its Omni ability if it has one, even if it does not belong to the active house. When a creature is used to trigger its Omni ability, the creature exhausts and that Omni ability triggers. Like, I'm curious what kind of stuff came up that had to be put in there, but yeah. Okay. Common sense stuff, I think, so far here. Action. So any ready creature of the active house may trigger its action ability if it has one. When a creature is used to trigger its action ability, the creature exhausts and that action ability resolves. I don't see where, like, were people like triggering other action abilities when they exhausted a creature? Like, who was messing with the rules that much that they have to put this kind of stuff in? I don't know. But I guess if the more clear it is, the better. No one can goof around with it, but I just picture there's like players out there that are like, you know, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park that are like testing the electric fences looking for holes, and they like grab these rules and they like bang their head against them until they can like make the designers like rip their hair out. But I understand it like high level play. It needs to be super clear. But it's just kind of funny to me that the stuff that I see in here. Okay, ability, card ability. An ability is the special game text a card contributes to the game. Unless an ability explicitly references out of play areas such as hand, deck, archives, or discard pile, that ability can only interact with cards that are in play. Now here's the new stuff. Abilities that interact with a card after it's destroyed. Here we go. This is Archimedes related stuff, I'm sure. I think it has to work the timing chart. Yes, the timing chart stuff is huge. That should have existed. Like a timing chart is just that helps me learn a new game. Like Netrunner without timing charts, I would have never been able to figure that game out. That game was pretty heavy, but it was easier looking at timing charts in that game. Abilities that interact with a card after it's destroyed can interact with that card while it's in the discard pile. Okay. Abilities on a creature, artifact, or upgrade are only active and can only be triggered while the card is in play unless the ability explicitly references being used from an out-of-play area. Okay. Okay. I'm sure that'll make more sense later why this is here. All right, so we have an update here to as if it were yours, as if you controlled it. If a card effect instructs you to use a card as if it were yours, or as if you controlled it, it causes you to use the card even if you don't control it. You never gain control of the card during this process, but you resolve the effect as if you controlled the card. So I guess when you use like remote access and you're doing it to someone's artifact, you don't take control of the artifact, you're just using it, stays over there. Like we all know this is how we play the card. But somebody out there obviously went to grab their opponent's card and says, hey, I control this thing now. I take it to my side of the board, maybe? I don't know. When using the card as if it were yours, / as if you controlled it, that instructs you to sacrifice the card as part of the effect. The card is still sacrificed as if you controlled it. Okay. Yeah, because they were saying there's the whole you can't sacrifice a card that isn't yours, like that you don't control or whatever. So that there must be some cards out there that can sacrifice it as if you controlled it. I guess Poltergeist would make sense with that, I guess. That's actually... You can probably Poltergeist and find that card here. So play. Use an artifact controlled by any player as if it were yours, and then destroy that. Okay, that's not sacrifice. So, I don't know. Could also be for upcoming cards, right? They know the whole Worlds Collide's coming. But if you guys know what cards they're talking about here, why they had to put this in. But, well, they might have talked about them in the article, actually. Let's go. Main example would be Replicator on someone like Secuus. He could capture from the opponent. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Here, let's go to the article here, which I link below in the description if you guys want to look at the article. Or no, I linked the PDF below, but the article's on Fantasy Flight Games website where I'm looking right now. I think they put in here... nope, they did not put an example. Yeah, they put like an example for clarifying for each, which we'll look at in a minute with Sack of Coins and Shard of Pain here. But they didn't really... This article leaves a lot to be desired. I've seen better ones in the past for like Game of Thrones, a card game, where they actually put the cards and explained it and put other card examples of interactions and why it was added. But this is kind of like loosey-goosey and just kind of tells you, go read the PDF. We'll get to the FAQ, which I'm sure will explain this stuff in more clear detail why they're doing this. Okay, so alpha. When a card has the alpha keyword, it can only be played if you haven't played, used, or discarded any other cards during the current step of your turn. Okay. I know they mentioned on the previous Crucible cast, that's on Fantasy Flight Games YouTube channel. They talked about some rules updates in the last one that was posted on Saturday that just passed, I believe. Talking about that. The blanking of an alpha card. Alright, so... Alright, here's Archimedes at work here. Look at this wall of red text. All right, let's read this here. Okay. You guys see that? Let's see here how well you guys can see this. Looks okay. It might be a little blocked here. Let me see if I can make it bigger. And yeah, okay, let's do this. All right, when a card is destroyed by a card effect, or when a creature has damage on it equal to or greater than its power, that card is tagged for destruction. Okay, this is something new, tagging for destruction. After it is tagged, then that card's destroyed abilities trigger. And finally, the tagged card is placed into its owner's discard pile. If multiple cards are simultaneously tagged for destruction, the active player chooses the order in which to resolve the destroyed abilities of any of those cards, and also chooses the order in which those cards are placed in their owner's discard piles. Tagged. Okay, this is similar to what was happening before. Once a creature has been tagged for destruction, the only thing that can remove this tag is a replacement effect that uses the word instead and replaces the destruction of that creature. An effect that heals a tagged creature does not remove the destroyed tag. Okay. An effect may move a tagged creature to a different out-of-play area, such as the hand or archives, but that creature is still considered to have been destroyed for the purposes of card effects. So like Tolis, for example, given Amber, that makes sense. If a destroyed ability causes more cards to be destroyed, they are also tagged for destruction, and their destroyed effects will also trigger before cards are placed in the discard pile. Okay. Players cannot choose to sacrifice or destroy a creature that is already tagged for destruction. Okay. A card that is already tagged for destruction cannot be tagged for destruction again, and any effect that attempts to destroy or sacrifice that card fails. That card still only triggers its destroyed ability once. All right. A card only triggers destroyed abilities that it had at the time it was tagged for destruction. If a card gains a destroyed ability after it's already tagged, that ability does not trigger. Okay. Cards that are sacrificed also count as being destroyed. They are tagged for destruction following the same process outlined above. Oh, we have some examples. Love the examples. All right. Love the examples. Let me just make sure I can see the chat here. All right. So example. Dan has Archimedes in the middle of 4 other creatures, and his opponent plays Gateway to Dis, destroying all creatures. First, all of Dan's creatures are tagged for destruction. Okay. Then Archimedes' neighbors' destroyed effects trigger, archiving them. Okay. Just his neighbors. I like it so far. The battle line immediately collapses, but Archimedes' new neighbors have already been tagged for destruction, cannot gain a new destroyed ability, so they are placed in the discard pile along with Archimedes. Now that's how you knew it should have worked originally. But the whole blowing up a whole line of dudes and filling up your discard pile with, or your archive with like 8 creatures, and your opponent's sitting there with no creatures, and then you just next turn grab your whole archives into your hand and just start flopping dudes out again is bad, especially when they have come into play effects. I mean, that's why you saw a lot of Archimedes decks at the tournaments at Gen Con for sure. I saw a lot, and some on stream too from the Poland Vault Tour. But yeah, Archimedes is nerfed, as they say, but he shouldn't have been overpowered to begin with. He should have just worked normal. He just got like a bad ruling on him, in my opinion. Let's see here. What else we got? All right. Example. Emily has Jehu the Bureaucrat, Duma the Martyr with 2 damage, and Commander Remiel with 1 damage in play. Okay, this is all about Duma probably. Her opponent plays Poison Wave, dealing 2 damage to each creature. This damage causes Duma and Commander Remiel to be tagged for destruction. Duma the Martyr's destroyed effect triggers, healing Jehu the Bureaucrat and Commander Remiel. Since Commander Remiel was already tagged for destruction, it still goes to the discard pile with Duma the Martyr, but Jehu the Bureaucrat survives unscathed. Jehu, what is his? Does he have 3 power, this guy? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, it's 3 power. Just making sure. All right, so she does no longer saves everyone and leaves, which is kind of cool, because that was a little overpowered in my opinion. And you get 2 cards drawn out of the whole mess, which is great. But that is interesting. So Poison Wave comes down. If it kills any of them, they are marked for death. And you cannot delete that marked for death, even if you're healed, which is kind of cool. All right. So the next thing is example. Marcus has Groggins with Phoenix Heart in play. His opponent, Janelle, has a Dust Imp with a Soul Keeper, a Drumble, and a Shaffles in play. Okay, Groggins with the Phoenix Heart is that whole destroyed and deals a whole bunch of damage to everyone else in play. Dust Imp, Soul Keeper. Soul Keepers, if the creature is destroyed, it destroys the opponent's biggest creature, I believe. And a Drumble and a Shaffles in play. We know Drumble is a 2-power little elusive dude that takes all your amber when you have 7 or more in your pool. And the Shaffles 2 power, 1 power. Anyways, Marcus attacks Dust Imp with Groggins, causing Dust Imp to be tagged for destruction. Okay. I don't know why you attack the Dust Imp. You shouldn't have done that. Give your opponent some amber. Just joking. All right. Dust Imp's destroyed ability and the destroyed ability that Soul Keeper grants it both trigger simultaneously. So Marcus, the guy playing Brobnar here, gets to choose because he's active player, right? So Marcus chooses to let his opponent gain the 2 amber first, then trigger the Soul Keeper, which will destroy Marcus's most powerful creature, Groggins. When Groggins is tagged for destruction, the Phoenix Heart attached to it triggers, returning Groggins to Marcus's hand, dealing 3 damage to each other creature. This damage then tags Drumble and Shaffles for destruction. Finally, all the destroyed creatures still in play, Dust Imp, Drumble, and Shaffles, are placed in their owner's discard pile in the order of the active player Marcus's choice. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because Phoenix Heart's like return back to hand, right? I just want to check that. Is it spelled heart like so? Phoenix Heart. This creature gains destroyed. Return this creature to its owner's hand and deal 3 damage to each creature in play. Okay. Just making sure we're clear here. All right. So control here on the same page. If an ability refers to cards that a player has in play, it's referring to cards that player controls. Okay, makes sense. Oh, we have another example here, but this is from something on this page. Okay, here's the for each business. For each, some abilities include an effect that uses the term for each to determine the magnitude of the effect. Unless otherwise specified, a player may choose to affect a different card with each instance of such an effect. Okay, example, Shard of Pain reads, play, deal 1 damage to an enemy creature for each friendly shard. That damage may be distributed among multiple creatures. Some abilities specify that a player must choose a creature, then do an effect to that creature using the term for each. Such abilities only affect a single creature. Okay, and that's where they were talking about here with Sack of Coins and the Shard of Pain. So Sack of Coins, play, deal 1 damage to a creature for each amber in your pool. Hey, Nirmans, how's it going? Joseph, what's up? All right, so what's new rules today? Yeah, new rules today. So we're checking them out. Link is in the description below. Get the PDF open, follow along. We'll be going through it. Here we're I don't know how far we are, but we're on page 11 already. We're just looking at for each. So it's basically saying you can deal damage to an enemy creature for each friendly shard, and you can distribute it among multiple creatures. Because there was confusion, like with Sack of Coins here. Deal 1 damage to a creature for each amber in your pool. Deal 1 to an enemy creature for each friendly shard. This one you're allowed to separate. This one I don't think you are, because it says deal 1 to a creature. And if we read this again, some abilities that specify a player must choose a creature, then do an effect to that creature using the term for each. Such abilities only affect a single creature. So I think that's how that works there. Oh, there was an example. Red Planet Ray Gun reads, this creature gains a reap. Choose a creature. Deal 1 damage to that creature for each Mars creature in play. That damage must be dealt only to the chosen creature. It cannot be distributed among multiple creatures. Okay. Yeah, so that's the clear. Choose a creature, deal 1 damage. I totally missed this. Good to see you made a video. I would have made one if I had been up to date. It's all good. I saw it. I checked my phone and saw people are chatting about it, and I had to go check. And yeah, stuff very much interests me, and we need to get the word out there, because not every player you play with, and you know it too, Joseph, not every player you play with at the store knows there's a PDF out there that gets updated that they need to go check for updated rules. I find players don't know about this document, so this hopefully will help bring awareness to that. Okay. If it doesn't say choose a creature, it can be split up. Now, I think this is right. Awesome. Channel update for September. Even got a little shout out to your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wish they clarified First Blood. We can look at First Blood after and see. I'm curious. Okay, so then based on this, I think you're allowed to deal 1 damage to a creature for each amber in your pool. You can repeatedly choose a different creature each time. I think you can for Sack of Coins. But clearly, for Red Planet Ray Gun, where it says, reap, choose a creature, period, you're stuck with that creature, and everything else after that is completely done to that first creature. For each. Let's just be for sure on that. Well, anyways, we'll find more in the FAQ, I'm sure, about it. Lasting effects. Some card abilities create effects or conditions that affect the game for a specified period of time, such as until the start of your next turn or for the remainder of your turn. These are called lasting effects. Lasting effects are treated as constant abilities that are active for the duration specified by the effect. A lasting effect persists even if the card that created the effect leaves play. A lasting effect affects cards in play. It applies to all cards in play during the specified period, regardless of whether they were in play at the time the lasting effect was established. Okay. We got an update here to move. When a card instructs you to move amber, take that amber off that card/location and move it to another card/location. This does not count as capturing, stealing, or losing amber. When a card instructs you to move damage, take that damage off one card and place it on to another card. This does not count as damaging the second card and is not prevented by armor or other effects that prevent damage. When a card instructs you to move a creature, that creature must remain under its current controller's control unless the card also specifies that a different player is taking control of that creature. And we've seen this in other Fantasy Flight games, this whole move business. I have dealt with this before in other LCGs that I've played over the years. And yeah, this move thing, it gets around all that stuff. It's move is move. It's not something else. That's kind of basically what I get from that. And here we got more red text under Omega. After a card with the Omega keyword is played, the current step of the game ends. The active player cannot play, use, or discard any more cards for the remainder of the step. Any pending effects and triggers complete their resolution. Then play continues to the next step. I think they're just clarifying there. We all know that's what it does. Replacement effects. All right. Let's see if I can get that lined up on the screen here. All right. That should look good. Fun of doing it live. All right. Some abilities completely replace the resolution of another effect or game step. These abilities are referred to as replacement effects and can be identified by use of the word instead. A replacement effect specifies what part of an effect or game step it is replacing when that effect or part of an effect or game step would occur. It does not occur and the replacement effect happens in its place. If a replacement effect causes something that is being destroyed to not be destroyed, this removes the destroyed tag from it. The replacement effect remains as a lasting effect while any destroyed abilities are triggered and does not fully resolve until the card would be put into the discard pile. If no effect is specified by the replacement effect, it refers to another part of the same effect the replacement effect is part of. All right, let's get down to some examples here. Example, Aaron plays Dimension Door and then reaps with a creature. Normally, Aaron would gain 1 amber from reaping with the creature. However, Dimension Door has set up a replacement effect that replaces the gaining of amber from reaping with stealing an amber, so Aaron steals 1 instead. That's the way I played it. I don't know. That's Captain Obvious here. It seems good. Example, Catherine has Commander Remiel with an Armageddon Cloak attached to it, and her opponent plays Gateway to Dis, destroying each creature in play. The destroyed effect given to Remiel by Armageddon Cloak is a replacement effect that is replacing the destruction of the creature. Okay. This destruction is being replaced with healing the creature fully and destroying the Armageddon Cloak instead. This causes the destroyed tag to be removed from Commander Remiel and be given to the Armageddon Cloak. Okay, that's just updated to fit with the whole destroyed tagging stuff. Oh, we have another example here. Jamie plays Ronnie wrist clocks. Damn you, Jamie. While her opponent has 7 amber. Normally, Ronnie wrist clock's play effect steals 1 amber from her opponent. But since Jamie's opponent has 7 or more amber, the replacement effect kicks in and replaces stealing 1 amber with stealing 2 instead. Yes, that came up at a vault tour. I was standing right there filming a game when that came up, actually, at another table, and the judges were kind of scratching their head the way they questioned how it was worded and how you can interpret it, like that. Yeah, it was a weird question, but obviously it came up, and that's why they've added this here, that it can be interpreted like they still only steal. I think they steal. It was if they stole the 1 that they have 7, and then it does a check that now they have only 6. You can't steal the 2 because that first sentence in his ability stole the 1 and put them down to 6. So now they don't have 7 or more, so you're not able to steal 2 instead. Like, I don't even know, like, I see how you could see it that way, but, like, I don't know. People just do this stuff. I'm not sure if they do it just to be trolls, but, yeah. But also the templating is not super clear sometimes, so that's another problem on the other end. All right. Stun, stun status card. When a creature becomes stunned, place a stun status card on it. While a creature is stunned, it cannot fight, reap, or use action or omni abilities. So it looks like you have to place stun status cards on creatures, not tokens. So you're not allowed to use the stun tokens anymore. You have to use those cards. I'm totally kidding. All right. A stunned, ready creature of the active house can be used by exhausting it to remove its stun status card. Again, not token. You know somebody's going to be out there like, I don't have to remove my token. The rules say I have to remove a card. I don't know. Anyways, if a card effect would cause a stunned creature to fight, reap, or use an action or omni ability, instead the creature is exhausted and the stun status card is removed. I find stun and the whole using actions to get rid of stun, I found it super easy to understand because in the starter set for Call of the Archons that originally came out, the cards right on it say something along the lines of, if you go to use this creature, we know is fight, reap, or stun. Fight, reap, or an action. Exhaust the card and remove the stun effect instead. It's very clear on there. But in the rules, it was not that clear. And I guess they just assumed everyone would have those little stun cards on them saying that. But a lot of players play with their own stun tokens. And a lot of people never even got a hold of that starter set because it wasn't really in stock anywhere. So I understood it because that's the way I learned stun, was reading those little stupid big yellow cards that came in that core set. So it always made sense to me. But I've had to explain that to players so many times over the last year of playing the game, and it was just not clear. At least this is clear. The only problem is all those players who didn't read the rules originally or have those cards need to read this PDF. So we need to get that knowledge out there for sure. Let's see, Mr. Dragon Fox is saying they should simplify Ronnie to just say, if your opponent has 7 or more amber, steal 2. Otherwise, steal 1. Yeah, you're right. Yep, bad templating. Like you know, they need some of these guys that call out these rules. They need to like use them as consultants to like double check things and just like try to poke holes, you know, and then revise the rules and based on them seeing them before they go out, right? I'm sure there's people that are paid to do that, but sometimes people just miss it, I guess. But okay, so let's see here. Oh, this is all story business. We're just gonna skip right by all of this. Good old lore. All right, some credits. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the game, by the way. All right, let's see. Oh, we got some red here. We got some more Errata. Oh, man. Errata's rough. That's rough, especially when they don't print new versions of the card. Magda the Rat. Call the Archons 303. Should read elusive. Play. Steal 2 amber. If Magda the Rat leaves play, your opponent steals 2 amber. So how was Magda worded before? Magda. She was worded. Can I zoom in on this so we can see it better without messing with that? Yep. All right. So she is worded play, steal 2 amber. Elusive, play, steal 2 amber. Okay, that seems the same. If Magda the Rat leaves play, your opponent steals 2. Oh, I see. Leaves play, your opponent steals 2 amber. Okay, it's just clarifying this, I guess, to make sure nobody can mess with it. Okay. Yeah, getting into more detail on the leaves play stuff. All right. I'm not going to try to pronounce this one, but no drone. Age of Ascension 210 should read play, archive a card. You may purge an archived card. If you do, stun a creature. This guy was in here. He was mentioned right here. Play, archive a card. You may purge an archive card to stun a creature. You may... okay, I see. The if you do stun a creature. So there, it's getting around the you may do as much as you can kind of thing. So you have to purge an archive card to be able to do the stun. I guess the way it was worded before. You may purge an archive card to stun a creature. So maybe people aren't just not purging and still stunning. I don't know. Just makes it more clear. And life for life should read play. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, deal 6 damage to a creature. So that I guess wasn't as clear. That's in here too. Play, sacrifice a creature to deal 6 to a creature. So it still works the same way. They're just clarifying it more. That seems to be what's happening here. Basic and simple, but from that creates problems, especially as the card pool expands. Okay, so what else we got here? All right, we're on to FAQ. The fun. I have chosen House Logos to be my active house this turn, and start off by playing Library Access. Call the Archon's card 115. I then play Wild Wormhole. Call the Archon's card 125. In what order do I resolve this combination of effects? I know the order, but let's see if they explain it the same way I understand it. Now, how I understand before reading this is how I try to explain it to all the players I teach. And I've taught lots of players how to play KeyForge and help them correct rules and play that they've done incorrectly in the past. And a lot of newer players I've come across. I do the card, I put a card up in front of them, one that has Amber Pip, and I'll use like Library Access or something as an example. As the card effect that's coming off of you playing a card, and then the ability on the card. So when you're playing an action, you just go down the card. So first things first, you play the card, you do the Amber Pip. Then you do reactions to playing the card before resolving the text. And then the card does not leave play until you fully resolve the text on the card. So if it's like discarding your hand and shuffling your deck and all that business, that effect on the action card is not finished yet, so it hasn't actually hit your discard pile. That's how I fully understand it. It's changed here. So when you play Wild Wormhole, after playing a Library Access, the following happens in this order. Here we go. Number 1, you gain 1 Amber from Wild Wormhole's Amber bonus. Okay, that goes with what I know. Number 2, Library Access effect and Wild Wormhole's play effect are simultaneous. So you may resolve them in either order. What the F? Great. I've led all these other people wrong. No, I'm just joking. Obviously, it changed. And this is why we're here making this video and looking through the rules, because of things like this. And there will be players who you will go to your next tournament and they will have no clue. So we need to spread the love, spread the word. Okay. 3, you gain Amber from any Amber bonus on the card played from the top of your deck. Okay. 4, if there are any play effects on the card played from the top of your deck, they are simultaneous with Library Access's effect. You may resolve them in either order. Interesting. Okay. So it's not too bad, but it's just like, yeah. Now you're just going to have to explain that. So you like play the card, you play Library Access, then you Wild Wormhole. So now you choose whether you want to play the top card or draw a card. So I guess if you've stacked the top of your deck, so if you have any kind of like deck manipulation stuff, now it gives you more control over that. So you can kind of, I know I want to play this card and not draw the card, or vice versa. You could now manipulate that. And that's kind of cool. That helps with any of the kind of like deck stacking stuff. I guess like, I don't know, I'm thinking of Dextra just off the top of my head. I don't see why you would care, really. I mean, he could be the Amber you need to capture to keep you in the game. Keep your opponent off that 3rd key, so that kind of thing would matter. But yeah, I'm not sure. What other ways can you mess with the top of your deck? That I'm not sure off the top of my head. But yeah. And then let's say you had lab work on the top there, and that gets flipped over. So you would already have done. So you'd have to have resolved the card draw off of Wild Wormhole and playing the card off the top of the deck before moving on. Before moving on to that second card, where then you could do another library access draw and then do Labworks effect of archiving a card, and it's your choice when to do that. Okay, that's interesting. It's different way to look at it. It gives you some more control there, which is kind of cool. Okay. Let's see here. What happens if I use Replicator to trigger the Reap effect of an opponent's Sanctum Guardian? Sanctum Guardian's Reap effect will do nothing. A creature cannot be moved from one player's battle line to another player's battle line except by effects that explicitly change control of that creature. Okay, so let's go. Sanctum. I can't spell, I don't think. Guardian? Did I spell it right? Yeah, I did. All right. Woo. So Sanctum Guardian says, fight Reap, swap Sanctum Guardian with another friendly creature in your battle line. I can see where this would be fun. Yeah, with Replicator, you trigger this and then you swap him onto your side and put a card from your side of your battle line onto your opponent's battle line. Yeah, that's kind of funny. That's how I would play, just to be a goof. But yeah, it doesn't let you take control of it specifically, so I can see how that's not. It wasn't intended to be designed that way. So yeah, creature cannot be moved. Yeah, so it just fizzles. So don't use Replicator on your opponent's Sanctum Guardian. All right, let's see here. Okay. I think it's kind of another Duma here. If Duma the Martyr and another of my creatures are both destroyed by a damage effect like Poison Wave, can Duma save my other creature from destruction? No. Let me just make sure this is on the screen here. Ah, yeah, we can still see it. Okay. So let's see here. No, if the damage causes Doom of the Martyr and your own creature to both be tagged for destruction, healing the creature afterwards will not prevent its destruction. Okay, so Doom has been kind of nerfed. We know this from the example up above about the whole destroyed effect stuff. If a card like Gateway to Dis destroys multiple creatures, and Tolas is one of those creatures, does anyone gain Amber off Tolas' ability? I vote no, and that's the way it should work. It says no. Tolas' ability is not triggered until cards are actually put into discard piles, at which point Tolas is already destroyed. Yeah, that makes sense. If I have out a Tolas when my Bad Penny is destroyed, do I gain Amber even if Bad Penny goes to my hand instead of my discard pile? Yes, cards still count as being destroyed even if their destroyed effect moves them out of play. Okay, that's fine. All right. I use my Hallowed Shield to protect my Marek the Marked from damage, and then I attack my opponent's 3-power creature. This is one that has come up, and I'm not sure. So I'm glad to see this here. Like I could have probably Googled it and figured it out, but I'm glad to see there's a question here on this one. Amber with his Marek's ability, and the answer is no. Protection from effects like Hallowed Shield prevent damage before armor. Marek still has 1 armor left after the fight. Okay. Yeah, so if you can't take damage, the armor check's not even happening, so no capture for you. Okay. If my Jar Google or Jar Goggle is destroyed on my turn, and its destroyed ability lets me play a card with Omega, can I still play the card afterwards? Not usually. It's a bad way to start the answer. If Jar Goggle was destroyed during your step 3, you may not play or use any more cards. Just finish triggering any more triggered effects and then move on to the next step. If Jar Goggle was destroyed during your step 1, however, for example, because you forged a key while Strange Gizmo was out, love it, you only move on to step 2, where you may then choose your house and move on to step 3, where you are allowed to play and use cards again as normal. Okay, so Omega just ends the current step, right? So if it's in a different step, then that's how it works. I have Pingle Who Noise, and my opponent plays King of the Crag. Will King of the Crag take a damage before Pingle is destroyed? No, because King of the Crag's ability is constant, so he's the one that reduces opponent's Brobnar creatures by 2 power. So as soon as he hits the board, it's like a lasting effect or whatever. That's not a lasting effect, like a constant ability. Yes, because King of the Crag's ability is constant, its effect applies as long as it's in play and destroys Pingle before Pingle's after it enters play effect can trigger. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. The next one. If I have a 2-power creature with a Soul Keeper attached, so that's the one that when they're destroyed, they destroy your opponent's most powerful creature, or when the creature with the upgrade attached to them is destroyed. My opponent has a 6-power creature and a 5-power creature, and I play Opal Knight. Love that guy. Do both of my opponent's creatures die, or just the 6-power one? I have a 2-power creature with Soul Keeper attached. My opponent has a 6-power creature and a 5. Okay. And I play Opal Knight, who destroys all. Is it even or odd? I always forget which one of those. I think he's the odd guy. What was it? It was Opal Knight. That's the good one, right? He might be even then. Destroy each creature with even. Yes, even power. Okay. I have a 2-power creature. Oh, okay, so he's coming into play. He's destroying the 2-power and the 6-power. And the 5 is left on both sides. Do both my opponent's creatures die or just the 6-power one? So they're saying just the 6-powered one. Since the Soul Keeper's effect triggers before the destroyed creatures actually leave play, it will trigger or will target the 6-power creature for destruction, even though that creature is already tagged for destruction. Okay, so it's just saying that the 6 guy wouldn't leave from the Opal Knight first, and then you could trigger Soul Keeper against the 5. It doesn't work that way. It just basically double tags the 6-power one. That's how I understand it. That makes sense. All right, so let's see here. So the next one we have is I have 2 amber in my pool, and I reap with a creature. My opponent has 2 Surmeros in play. Do both Surmeros capture an amber? And if so, where does the second one come from? This one has come up, and I did not know how to explain it either in actual physical play. And it's interesting. All right, so Surmeros can only capture 1 amber that was just gained from reaping. The active player determines which Surmeros captures the amber. Okay. That makes sense. That's the way it should be played. Because it's like, you know, it's not like you're triggering both because only 1 amber happens, so it's not like he makes magical amber come out of the air. All right, a Scally Caper that I own and my opponent controls is purged with Spangler Box. Later, the Spangler Box is destroyed. When Scally Caper returns to play, whose control will he be under? When the Spangler Box returns Scally Caper to play, this counts as entering play again. So Scally Caper's ability causes you to put it into play under your opponent's control. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. I play the card Sack of Coins with 3 amber in my pool. Okay, this is the sack of coins we were discussing earlier in the video here. So can I divide the 3 damage among multiple creatures? Yes, because it doesn't have that select a creature period and then the effect. This one says yes, because Sack of Coins deals 1 damage for each amber in your pool. Each point of damage may be assigned to a different creature. That is cool. I like that. More flexibility there. I play the card Nerve Blast while my opponent has 2 amber in their pool and controls a Pose Pixies. Awesome card. Basically, you can't capture or steal any amber off someone who has a Pose Pixies in play. It has to come from the common pool instead. Am I able to deal 2 damage with Nerve Blast's effect? Yes. Pose Pixies has a replacement effect that changes where the stolen amber is taken from, the common supply instead of the controller's pool. However, that amber is still considered to be stolen, and therefore, if you do, the if you do condition of Nerve Blast has been satisfied. That is the right ruling. I like that. That's fine. You're still stealing. It's just the source of the steal has changed. All right, I reap with Nexus, which allows me to use an opponent's artifact as if it were mine. I choose to use an opponent's Shard of Greed, which lets me gain 1 amber for each friendly shard. Shard of Greed is the only shard in play. How much amber do I gain? 1. You're using Shard of Greed as if it were yours, so Shard of Greed counts itself as a friendly shard for the purposes of this ability. Okay, that's fine. If I Reap with Nexus, and I use my opponent's Spectral Tunneler to give Nexus the ability, Reap, draw a card. Can I trigger the Reap ability? Yes, you can for sure. And it is yes. You are still at the timing point to trigger Nexus's Reap abilities. So it can now trigger the ability gained by Spectral Tunneler. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's the way I've always played it too, is if you gain that effect, you're still after a Reap, so you can still keep going. I Reap with a Replicator and use its ability to trigger the Reap effect of my opponent's Sequus as if I controlled it. Which player's pool does Sequus capture Amber from? Sequus captures 1 Amber from your opponent's pool. You're using Sequus as if you controlled it, so the default capture rules cause the Amber to be captured from your opponent's pool. That makes sense, and I like that too. That's good. My opponent has Cermeros in play. If I play Dimension Door, and then I Reap with a creature, does Cermeros capture the Amber from the creature reaping? No. In this case, the effect of gaining Amber from reaping is being replaced by stealing Amber from your pool. This means that you aren't getting Amber directly from the Reap, and your opponent's Cermeros will not be able to capture it. Okay, because you're replacing the Reap. And you're stealing. I get it. That's kind of cool. My opponent forges 2 keys on their turn. And my next key, where is it? My opponent forges 2 keys on their turn. On my next key, I play Keyhammer. What happens? My opponent forges 2 keys on their next turn. I play Keyhammer. Okay. Keyhammer only affects a single key. You will choose one of the 2 keys your opponent forged on their previous turn and unforge it. Okay, that makes sense. I choose Logos as my active house. I play Phase Shift. Then I play a Mimicry as a copy of Fogify. Can I still play another non-Logos card using Phase Shift's effect? No. Phase Shift grants you permission to play 1 non-Logos card this turn. Playing Mimicry uses up this effect as you would not have been able to play Mimicry without Phase Shift's effect. That's the right ruling also. Can I play Mimicry as a copy of Eureka if I have already played another card this turn? No. If Mimicry is played as a copy of Eureka, it will have the alpha keyword. Since you have already played another card this turn, you are not able to play an alpha card this turn, and so the Mimicry will not be played and will go back to your hand instead. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. Can I play Mimicry as a copy of Eureka as the first thing I do on the step 3 of my turn? Yes, Mimicry is being played as a copy of Eureka and will have the alpha keyword. Since you haven't done anything else, play a card, discard a card, or use a card this turn, you can still play the alpha card. Okay, that's kind of cool. My opponent has 10 Amber and is about to forge their second key. I play Interdimensional Graft. My opponent has Forge Master OG in play. On their turn, they forge a key for 6 Amber. What happens to the remaining 4 Amber? This is a big one. So Forge Master OG forces them to lose the remaining Amber. Interdimensional Graft means you steal the rest of it, basically, or you get the rest of it. So the effect of Interdimensional Graft and Forge Master OG both occur at the same time step after the key is forged. So the active player, your opponent, chooses which resolves first, which is juicy. That's the way I played it too. All right, my Gabos Long Arms attacks my opponent's Amber Imp. Is Gabos Long Arms damage prevented by elusive, or can I deal that damage to another creature? You may still deal Gabos Long Arms damage to another creature. Elusive only prevents damage dealt to the creature with the elusive ability during the fight. That makes sense too. I like that one. My opponent plays Shadow of Dis, forcing me to treat my creature's text box as if they were blank until the next turn. I play Silvertooth. What does Silvertooth enter play ready? Yes, this was all mentioned during the previous Crucible cast that Fantasy Flight Games did. If you guys don't check those out, they come out once a month, I believe, and usually on a Saturday they drop. Go subscribe to Fantasy Flight Games on YouTube, and you'll see those Crucible Cast podcasts come up where they mention a lot of these rules in here they've discussed in previous casts. They obviously just were very lazy about getting this document out since it's been since May, but we've known they have had multiple Crucible casts which have talked about rules since then. So there's just some of these are kind of older ones being put in here. So yes, Shadow of Dis only affects creatures while they're in play. Silvertooth's ability modifies how it enters play, so it is in effect before the Shadow of Dis effect applies to it. So yeah, he'll come into play ready. My opponent plays Shadow of Dis. I have 2 copies of Glimmer. So Shadow of Dis just blanks cards until your next turn, just so we're clear. If I have 2 copies of Glimmer in my hand, may I play them both? No. Alpha is a play restriction that is active while in your hand before playing the card. After you have played a card in that step, you may not play an alpha card, even if its text box will be considered to be blank once it's in play. Yeah, so like alpha, you're checking it like in your hand. It's not blank yet because Shadow of Disc is only blanking cards that are in play. So you still have to check those restrictions. So my opponent has Shadow of Disc. I have a Dusk Witch in my hand. May I play Dusk Witch, then play another card afterwards? Yes. You can continue to play, use, and discard cards after playing Dusk Witch. Omega is an effect that occurs after a card is played. By that point, Dusk Witch is in play and under the effect of Shadow of Disc, meaning it no longer has the Omega ability. But it also then doesn't have its text ability, so you're not playing creatures ready after Dusk Witch too. So that's another thing. So it just, Omega gets kind of cool if it's blanked. You can keep going nuts with cards. So I guess it helps you like line up your battle line different maybe than you would have with playing her on a flank, which is interesting. You might be able to protect her if you know your opponent has some like targeting flank creatures effects or whatever. I have a Ronnie Wristclocks next to a Little Nif. So Little Nif allows you when the neighbors a Little Nif fight, they steal one. I attack one of my opponent's creatures with Ronnie Wristclocks, but he is destroyed during the fight. Does Little Nif's ability still allow me to steal an amber? I would assume yes, and it does say yes. Little Nif's neighbor does not need to survive in order for Little Nif to steal the amber, which makes sense because it's not printed on the creature that's actually destroyed and leaving play, so it can still go off. The fight happened, right? My opponent has 2 creatures in play, and I have 1. I play Neutron Shark and use its play effect to destroy an enemy creature as well as Neutron Shark. If the top card of my deck does not belong to House Logos, can I repeat Neutron Shark's ability and destroy my opponent's other creature? No. The destruction of Neutron Shark and the first enemy creature resolves fully before you proceed with the rest of Neutron Shark's ability. Because Neutron Shark is no longer in play, its play, fight, reap ability is no longer active and cannot be triggered again. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, here's the juicy stuff I've been looking forward to. The timing chart. This chart provides a detailed timing structure for all standard game steps and a number of frequently used card abilities. Use this information to determine the proper sequence of card abilities and game steps. Text in black indicates game steps, and text in red lists common card effects and exactly when they happen. Whenever 2 or more effects occur at the same time step on this chart, the order that those effects resolve in is determined by the active player. Note, effects that use the term each time occur at the same timing point as effects that use the term after. Effects that use the term each time occur at the same timing point as effects that use the term after. Okay, interesting. All right, so let's get this on screen. Just want to make sure I can see here. Okay, so step 1, forge a key. Start of your turn affects trigger. Check to see if you're able to forge a key. If able, spend amber equal to the current forging cost and forge a key. If you forge your 3rd key, immediately win the game. Then you have after keys the forge effects trigger. Okay, very clear. I like it. Then choose a house. And this is important. I've seen this one actually come up in the most recent Vault Tours I went to this summer. I've seen players at like the top 8 and top 4 tables ask this question. Choose a house. Choose which house will be the active house for this turn. After you choose a house effects trigger, then 2, you may take all the cards from your archives and put them in your hand. So you have to choose a house, announce which house you're choosing before you grab your archives. So like you can look through your archives anytime, so you can look at them before you name your house and choose to take your archives. But over here on the right, we have damage highlighted. The following steps occur each time a damage is dealt to one or more creatures. Apply the effects that prevent damage. Use armor to prevent damage. So this is like, you know, if your creature is immune to damage, you're going to apply that first. Then if damage gets through, you'll use armor to prevent it. Then you'll deal all remaining damage. Creatures with damage equal to or greater than their power on them are tagged for destruction. I think for the next Gen Con or something, or next big tournament, people need to get, you know, that needs to be a team name or something, or it needs to be put on t-shirts. Tagged for destruction, KeyForge. All right. Or giving it to your opponent. Here's my card. It says you're tagged for destruction as I'm about to beat your face. I don't know. Anyways, kind of a funny thing. Awkward. Play, discard, or use cards. You may perform these actions in any order and repeat them any number of times. All right. So step 3. Okay, this is the whole alpha begins here. Omega ends this, right? Play a card. If your card is a creature, artifact, or upgrade, put it into play. If your card is an action, reveal it. After you play it, discard it. 2, resolve the amber bonus on your card. So 2, resolve the amber bonus on a card, and then play effects, and after play enters play effects trigger. Okay. Use a creature to fight. Exhaust the attacking creature and choose the creature they are fighting. Okay. Then you do before fights. Hazardous X and Assault X trigger here. Then 2, creatures deal their damage to each other simultaneously. Then fight effects, and after a creature fights effects, and after a creature is used effects trigger here. And that's why if they were dead, they would not, if they were destroyed, sorry, they would not be triggering any of these here because they would be gone. Use a creature to reap. 1, exhaust the reaping creature. 2, gain 1 amber. Now this is the thing, exhausting cards, like this is key. And I noticed this from commentating a lot of videos. Players get lazy and they just like, I'm gonna reap for 3 and just like tap a bunch of guys, and then they go to use another guy and whatever. It's like, you need to do this. Step 1, exhaust the guy you're reaping with. Helps me understand when I'm commentating, helps your opponent know what's happening, and helps you keep track of all the stuff you've done on your turn. Exhaust your cards. Pet peeve. All right, then you reap effects, after creature reap effects, and after creatures use effects all trigger at this point. So you'll, of course, gain the amber before doing anything else. Then use an action or omni ability. Exhaust your creature or artifact with the action or omni ability. Resolve the effects of that ability. Then, after creatures used effects would trigger here. So always complete whatever you're doing, and then you trigger all this stuff after. All right, ready cards. Step 4. Ready each of your exhausted cards. But if you didn't exhaust your cards correctly, you wouldn't be able to ready them here. So you've broken the game if you don't exhaust your cards correctly. Just kidding. All right. Draw cards. 5. Draw cards until you have 6 or more in your hand, adjusting for chains or card effects. Then end of turn effects trigger. Yes, this is key here for that. The librarian. Titan librarian. Is that his name? What the heck is that guy? Librarian. Where's this guy? Yes, Titan librarian. Brain fart. All right. At the end of your turn, if Titan Librarian is not on a flank, archive a card. So that's when this stuff happens. So you would have drawn your cards first. And I remember this coming up when we were first getting into Age of Ascension at the pre-release events and stuff. It was like, wait, when does that happen? Do I get to archive first or I draw? We checked the rule book and it clearly says you draw cards. Then after that is your end of turn effects. And now it clearly says it in a timing chart too, which is great. So we also have destroyed here. The following steps occur each time one or more cards will be destroyed. 1, cards are tagged for destruction. Then destroyed effects trigger. 2, each destroyed card is put into its owner's discard pile. The battle line immediately shifts to fill in each destroyed creature's place. Then after a creature's destroyed effects trigger. Titan Librarian, thank you. I know there's a delay. I had to. The latency isn't the greatest here, but I had to do it to make sure the stream worked good. So, yeah, it's a little late on seeing that, but. All right, so that is all that's in this rule book. I don't know, thoughts? Anything in chat? Anything you guys think here? I don't know. It's like, yeah, the big deal is Archimedes, I guess, just got fixed. Some things like I highlighted while I was going through it, some things that I wasn't sure on, now have an FAQ entry. So that is great. But yeah, there's version 1.4, September 2019 update to the rule book. That's all I want to do is go through it here with you guys, and hopefully you guys would correct stuff, which you did, that I don't understand and read incorrectly, and help me remember cards that I forget. But yeah, it's yeah, I appreciate you guys being here, and that's it for this video. If you want to check out other KeyForge videos I do, subscribe to Rob's Gaming Table on YouTube. There are playlists there. Go on the playlist section. I put the Gen Con, Archon tournament videos there with commentary. I have another playlist for the sealed Gen Con Vault Tour videos with commentary, and there's Origins videos with commentary. I'll start getting back to my local tournaments, bringing cameras with me, so hopefully I can get some videos filmed there. I'll try to bring some decks with me, get some more videos up of that kind of stuff once I get some more time soon. and get back into streaming some KeyForge for you guys soon. So make sure you subscribe here. Also follow on Twitch. The link is in the description below. Go on to my Twitch channel there. Follow that if you could, because I will be doing some live streaming of Crucible games there, and also playing KeyForge in person like I've done in the past, maybe my wife and I, or at local tournaments if I can stream from there. Get some more KeyForge coming up on the channel. So lots more KeyForge coming.